Greetings and welcome back once again. Of course, I was speaking on mute. Haha, I'm back now. Let me know if you can hear me before I continue. Let me check the side thing here. Let me know if you can hear me. If I can be heard, press 1. I was supposed to do this conversation yesterday evening, but I wasn't there in the mind state to do it. So I put it all day. You can hear me now. All right, great. Um, so yes, we'll be doing this conversation today, and who may miss it, you could definitely check us on the replay. My apologies, but today is Friday, and when the sun goes down, it's all the way rest time. So I'm going to do it it's a beautiful afternoon here. So we're going to jump into this conversation and stick with it. Stick with it. So, yeah, people may be asking, why is she talking about this again? Like you talked about it before, and now here you are again talking about it because I still don't think we get it. Some of the feedback and the conversation, the resistance to it, I think that there are other things going on here and it's worth looking at. You know what I mean? It's worth looking. I wanted to go back and see what exactly I named this thing. What exactly did I name it? Let me go back. Hold on 1 second. So we're going to be defining things and then we're going to be looking at um, supporting evidence, right? Of I'm stalling a little bit as I try to as I try to get. We're going to be looking at supporting evidence in our popular culture and some of the things that we can help even in our discussions without getting certain, I keep saying, working definitions, right? Defining, examining female femininity and the beta male. That's exactly what we're going to be talking about. Define it. Examining female femininity and the beta male. And put the thumbs up on this video and like the video and share the video. We're trying to build a YouTube channel. I know I've had it up a while and I have not been the best guard, right? So we're trying to get to our first, 5,000. We're at 4,700 now. So we're going to get to 5,000 subscribers, then 6, then 7. Then you know how it goes. So like, share. If you like this kind of content, critical thinking, thoughtful analysis, support the team. Go already. So, you know what? When I was in art school, I'm gonna give a little anecdotal story before I get started. When I was in art school, I had to take live drawing, right? And when you take live drawing, we had let's just say a naked subject, which was always the most shocking part about it. Like you walk into class and like this old dude with a ponytail. This is a real story, and I'm like, oh, and at the fastest that I can, I'm there trying to draw it, and I turn in my drawing. Teacher's like, well, you know, you need more shading. You need more defined lines, right? Because mine was kind of like abstract, that little scratchy kind of type of thing. And in art, when something is not clear or you're unsure, they call it abstract. But when something becomes real, right, it becomes more real. It's because it's defined. Now, after you want to do a dot and a slash on the paper and you want to interpret what you want it to mean. But if you want to communicate and efficiently to the audience, then you have to be uh, more careful to define what it is that you're saying. And this is why I think the conversation needs to be well defined because the abstractness is what is causing the confusion. Right? I think it's this. I think it's that. Yeah, real nudity, Deborah. That was, oh my goodness, real nudity. It was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. I used to tell my friends and like, yo, there's a naked dude in the class, and nobody would believe me. You know what I mean? But then you go into class and the dude starts stripping. I'm like, yo, bruh, we could have did without this. But anyway, that's a side note. My point is defining something helps it to become more real and materialized. With that said, I'm going to share my screen so that we can define some things and then we can go forward from there. That sounds good? Hope it does. Hope it does. All right. Share my audio here. Without further ado, I had prepared this a while ago. Hopefully, I don't have any typos. If I do, so definitions, you got a big old fat book. You got Merriam-Webster. You have dictionary.com. You have all of these type of books that have definitions. And as words morph and as they grow, we add to the definition. So There is what the word originally was intended to do and be, and then you have, the way it's just used presently in society. And oftentimes we only go by what it's used as for now, presently, and not the actual root, the essence of the word. We see things like the B word for the female dog, something now that you use for a woman. Heifer is a cow, but it's now something that we take words to make them mean something else. Uh, and so that's also something to keep in mind while we're having this conversation. Okay, okay, okay. I know this is very remedial, but it's okay. Just humor me, okay? Definition: a statement of the meaning of a word or word group or a sign or a symbol. Essential nature of something. Keep that in mind. Essential nature. A product of defining. Like somebody goes into a contract, you're gonna want somebody to define what they mean. Now, yeah, man, we could get together, we could work. Being an artist, somebody who's creative, you get excited when people be like, "Yo, that's fly, that's dope. Yo, we could get together," but it's not defined. You know how many artists get jacked over because they did not define the conditions of their contract? It wasn't well defined, and if they were so excited that they didn't read it, so one person was aware but the other person wasn't, that's how confusion sets in. That's how people things of being robbed or misused, all of those things set in. Why? Because there are not any clear lines. It's not definitive. We're not defined. To define is to determine or identify the essential qualities or meaning of, and point B is to discover and set forth the meaning of. Very remedial, but very important. The asked on my Facebook, define female, and I got some abstracts and I got some definition. When we talk about definition, how I see love, we say stuff like this: how I see love, how I see life. That's our personal philosophy. Does the word, does the concept have a working definition? That's the question. And is it something that we all can agree on? Because if we can't agree on the working definition, we can't move forward. How many people have ever had some conversations with people and you're like, yo, what are you talking about? Okay, they say, are we supposed to see something because you can't see anything? Are you seeing it now? Hold on one second. Okay, I am sharing my screen. Stop here. Let me stop here. It's a good thing I cleaned going all the way over. Let me share my screen. I am reading off of the thing. Oh, probably because I'm in full screen mode. Hold on. Google tends not to like that. So let's try to share screen again. Sometimes we don't want to sit still enough. We want to have conversations. This is and this is the annoyance too. For a long time, I've been a mediator of sorts, a host, radio, mediating between people who want to talk. And one of the most annoying things, although I've learned over the years, is that we all want, maybe we want, and others don't want to listen. We don't acknowledge one another. And when we're asked, direct questions, we like to dance around. And that's what muddies the water with conversation. There's a lot of talk, but not a lot of listening. Let me know if you can see it again now. Can it be seen now? Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I know I can't see it. Dun, 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 dun. Wait. Oh, wait. I told y'all to give me a minute to stream y'all business. Look at this here. Or maybe something, this overlay is blocking it. That's why you can't see it. My bad. So let me try to, I was seeing screen, but the overlay was blocking it. Yeah, a minute to adjust the stream yard. Okay, now let me see if you could see it if I put it in present mode. All right. Now the stream yard. And now you can see it. Everything is good. Everything is Chris on Curry. Let me know if you guys can see it before. Oh, now you can. All right, no problem. Okay. So sometimes we do this on purpose. We, the people, we do it on purpose with anything. And we do it so that we can frustrate the conversation and manipulate it. How does a thief come try to get you in the cloak of darkness, right? And so if they could confuse the situation, then you won't be able to clearly identify what the problem is. It's vested in your version and in you not identifying the problem, then they're going to continue to be difficult, right? Because we don't want to be oftentimes honest, intellectually honest in conversation. And so we throw out, red herrings out there. We throw out stuff to throw people off the course, to feel as though, yeah, I won. That's my position. I won. And again, after we pass these childish stages of conversation, we're able to actually move forward. So if you're in this channel, welcome. My name is Amuna. And I don't just like to talk. I like to talk for progress. I like to have conversations that's kind of move the needle a little bit. What I was like, and I said it the other night, is stagnation, right? Because stagnant water stinks, and it also breeds mosquitoes and other insects. So let's continue. So it's very important things are abstract. So the opposite of definition is something that is abstract, disassociated, right? So something is disassociated from a specific instance. Oh, so that people could say, you can say something and they're speaking in abstract, and then you say something, they'd be like, oh, no, 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 I wasn't talking about that. Oh, you thought I was. It's easy to move around and maneuver and move the goalposts and jump back and forth if you're not clear. Because when you're clear, you get to say stuff like, so saying is, right? And when you get to pin down the person, then it's either going to be yes or no, yay or nay. And a lot of people don't like that. Difficult to understand. Remember, things abstract are difficult to understand. You go to the psychologist or the psychiatrist, they tell you to lay down on the couch. They give you an ink blot, which is abstract, and then you get to tell them, you get to interpret what you see. That's okay if they're trying to see what's going on in your mind and your subjective reality. But if you're talking about interfacing with the public, it doesn't necessarily go over well. So abstract is also insufficiently factual. I got these definitions from Merriam-Webster.com. You can see the source below. What does all of this have to do with defining? Because I'm just illustrating the importance of us defining things. If we have trouble in conversation, this can be a reason. So now I looked up the definition for female. I asked on my page, and I got something over there. Let me go over there for me to read to you some of the responses that I got. Yeah, the little ink blot, right? So over to my Facebook here and show you some of the things, some of the feedback that I received. Let me some of these windows. Do 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 do. Hold on, let me go. Just so that I illustrate, this is not something that I just talk about. It's something that I do to help community conversations. And sometimes I get quiet. People be like, "Where you at, Amuna?" You know what I mean? Because it's like a fire starter. Communications, the person who get rolling a little bit, and then people feel comfortable. The icebreaker, right? And sometimes I just quiet and sit back. And then I see other people trying to engage, but oftentimes if you're not doing it authentically, then people can sense it. Define female. This is all I wrote like 2 days ago. And I got some, and Deborah's in the house. I got one that says the essence of creation, right? That sounds kind of abstract. And then I have nurturing life best in the flesh, female. And that's a bit more abstract. It's still abstract. And then I got another sister who says fundamentally, typically, two X chromosomes. That is defined, right? Males being XY. No human life exists without at least an X. So she gave us some extra information, but she's a definition. Typically, females who have two X chromosomes. We read about that the other day. Okay, another brother comes in, and he says botany. So he went and got the definition, dating or pertaining to a plant or its reproductive structure that produces or contains elements requiring fertilization. That right there is defined. Female is going to have to do with reproductive structure. He goes on to say a person bearing X chromosomes in the cell nuclei, normally having a vagina, a uterus, and ovaries, and developing at puberty a relatively rounded body and enlarged breast. That is defined. So we have definitions, and then we have two abstract thoughts. The abstract thoughts could be, wiggle room for them, for people to interpret. But these definitions, two X chromosomes, okay, and it has to do with the reproductive system. This is a concrete definition of what it means to be a female. In today's space and time, we have people. Yeah, Knock did a good job. Deborah says guilty as charged. It's okay. I just wanted to illustrate that this is what we do, and this is why sometimes in conversation we can miss one another because somebody might be giving a concrete definition, and the other person might be given an abstract definition, right? So we have to keep that in mind instead of arguing from your abstract. It's like to determine which category are we talking about. Are we having a philosophical conversation, or are we having a conversation that we can do some fact checking on? That also will help to clear up a lot of disagreements that we have unnecessarily. Oftentimes, in times past, man, you open up a conversation, you can't get past point number one. People can't even agree on the title. Nah, I don't agree with that. I'm like, my, we didn't even read the two slides in the presentation. What is going on? What is going on? Where is our ability to focus? Focus. But if someone's in here yelling and screaming and emotionally, we're like, yeah. I'm like, what? Okay. Oh, wait, I forgot to read the definition of female. No, go back, go back, go back. Wait, wait. Okay, so of relating to or being the sex that typically has the capacity to bear young or produce eggs. The same thing. Facebook side, this is what it is. Or anything else reimagined, it's maybe in the abstract realm, but in the species of the insects and species of the animals, amongst humans, capacity to bear young or produce eggs. The female turtle produces the egg. The chick produces the egg. The crocodile produces the egg, right? In whatever capacity they produce, the female spider produces her brood of little spiders, right? The wolf, no matter where you go, the female of that species, horse, well, he carries a baby, but I don't know if he produces the egg. But nonetheless, typically, she to bear the young or produce eggs. Point blank, periods, with a T, right? So that's very clear. Anybody in the comment section agree? If you have a whole new definition, let me know. All right? So feminine, which is different from female, is a characteristic or appropriate or unique to women. Feminine characteristics is different from being a, say it with me, having feminine characteristics is different from being a female. You can have animal like characteristics. You could behave like a wolf, behave like a lion. Doesn't mean you are a lion. You ever had your young children walking around talking about they are trying to emulate the characteristic of the lion. They're not a lion though. So no matter how much feminine characteristics you have or do not, you can still be female with feminine characteristics. You can be a male exhibiting feminine characteristics and be a female. It gets hairy. I have a little illustration here that I wanted to share, and then we're going to come back to the presentation. We're going to what's going on, Nigel? Welcome to the conversation. I'll come and see what you got going on in a little bit. But I just have some clips to illustrate my point, right? Now, who remembers Martin Lawrence's character, Shanae? Now, in this little clip, is exhibiting feminine characteristics, but that doesn't mean that he's a female. Remember, he used to go around saying, I'm a lady. Remember that? Y'all remember that? He was exhibiting female characteristics, but it did not mean that he was a female. Here's another one with Wesley Snipes. Let me see. Let me move this thing over here so I could probably. We have Wesley. Come on, thing. Be nice. What people usually characterize as feminine characteristics, shaking the neck, the hair weave, they got him in fake titties, right? He's exhibiting female characteristics. You may speak like a woman, your voice may be heightened like a woman, but that does not mean that you are a woman because you do not have the capacity to bear young and you do not produce eggs. That's the biology versus the characteristic. Very important as we continue on this conversation. How many people are with us thus far? I know it seems very remedial, but these conversations I see on YouTube is in need for some remedial. Because I'm like, what the backside are we doing here? What? Okay, how many people are with me so far? Let me know. Let me see what's going on here. Yo, Wagwan Niger, we're gonna come and talk about it in a minute. So back just to backtrack a little bit, female, the capacity to bear egg, feminine characteristic or approach unique to women. Characteristics. When somebody wants to pretend to be a man, they take on masculine characteristics. But that doesn't mean they become a man. In an age, people are saying if you take on the characteristic, then you become biologically that thing. Not sure how that works. Femininity, the quality or of the female sex, the state or degree of being feminine or womanly. So the femininity, the quality or nature, back again to what typically this female behaves like. That is going to determine femininity. Another person, another gender can take on these characteristics, but it still doesn't mean they female. Yeah? All right, cool. Let me go back. Back. Oh, all right. Capacity, the potential or suitability for holding, storing, or accommodating. That capacity, I think I put there, the slide may be out of order, but female has the capacity to bear young. So I define capacity, potential or suitability for holding, storing, or accommodating. So male does not have a womb. The male have ovaries to produce eggs. Therefore, the male does not have the capacity suitable for holding, or accommodating life. Very important. Yeah. Again, this is me defining female. I'm going all of these hoops, jumping backwards and forwards to define female. I'm over here doing the Simone Biles right now, and the word for female, capacity of which we speak. I can't mark it up. Where's my little? I should have a little what you call it, reproductive system. We and the male reproductive system. His body is built with the capacity to produce sperm, fertilize the egg. Her is built with the capacity to have her egg fertilized and house the life and nurture it and bring it forward. This is the base biological, no abstract about it conversation about male and female. How many people in agreement? Let me know your thoughts on this. Why, Amuna? Why are you going through all of this? Why? Why are you going through all of this? Because I think it's important. So define it, form the essential nature of a thing as distinguished from its matter. So remember, I think when I talked about masculine, feminine before, is the essential nature, the form and the function. So we're kind of just going over the dictionary definition and putting all of these definitions together so that we are clear. We have a working definition. There's no qualms about it. There's no get. There's no what if. This is what it is, right? And what function before the action for which a person or thing is specifically fitted or used, or for that thing which exists. Now, some people talk about sin. They bring in and they don't understand that when you violate the form or the function, the purpose, the essential nature for which that thing was created, the actual word for sin means that you mark. If you look in Hebrew, it means that you missed the mark. That means that you are not you whatever you strive for, whatever you strove for, you did not, you went beyond it. You missed the mark. So the form and function of the womb, for instance, I don't even want to get too graphic. It's too early in the afternoon to graphic. Okay, I say this. Some people are using certain parts of the body out of uh, in a way in which parts were not designed to be used. Therefore, they have sinned, or they have missed the mark, or they have misappropriated one thing or another. How many things do we have that people, man has created, and they say, don't use this to X, Y, and they'll have it in their little instructional thing, and they say, don't use this outside, don't use this next to fire, this is not a commercial X, Y, and Z. They're telling you in what way you should use that they have produced. And when mankind does it, we say, oh, well, that's what the instructions say. Here it goes right here, right? But when man doesn't necessarily have the full manual on them, they get to make up the rules and regulations of how they use, what they use, when they use. And when it goes awry, when things happen, when disease ensues, when all kind of other issues take them up, people want to cry and talk about pray for me after you're not using it in the way in which it was. So components of being, we have physical, biological, we went over that, mental, emotional, and spiritual, like sense of the thing, right? Physical would be the physical female, the physical female. We have mental and emotional, which also we have the hormones and things that fuel both sexes for them to behave in the way in which they do. And then we have the essence of the thing. Now, there's things within the Bible, within Torah, to certain parts of our being that I don't think in this today's world, you know what I mean, the world at large, that many people have stepped away from standing. And this is why we have a lot of confusion. We're going to go into those things. Spiritual, or the essence of the thing, right? The spiritual essence of the thing. Deuteronomy 22:5, Devarim. The woman shall not wear, so that male, the person with the capacity to bear young, who produces eggs, shall not wear that which pertain unto the male, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment. For all that do so are an abomination. And people be like, oh my goodness, you're judging me. Unto the Most High, your power. You're judging me spiritually in the of a thing. Something is happening that you cannot necessarily, although you see the man putting on the woman's, or you see the woman putting on the man's garments, think physically something happening, but spiritually something is happening. The essence of that person changed when you do certain things. So you do something in the physical and it affects you in the spiritual realm, right? For Martin. Martin was around, and this show was popular when I was younger, when I was a teenager. You know what I'm saying? Dating myself, you understand? Everybody was, we didn't understand the spiritual implications of what we were digesting and what we were being fed. But whenever Martin put on these clothes, he put on the braids and the bracelets, he became, essence, this caricature, this Shanae. Let me go ahead and give a little bit of a thing again here for you. Let me. Whenever he did it, right, he became the person in his movements. Nails, he put on the makeup, and he became that person. The essence of him changed, not just the physical putting on the clothes. He took on female characteristics, feminine. So that's to show us that something is happening with clothes. Clothes carry spirit. And we see in Deuteronomy, it's told me that. So now we're seeing some of the reasons why. It's what they call cross-dressing. Yeah? Let me go back over here now. Trust me, it's getting somewhere. It's getting somewhere. It's getting somewhere. Okay. I'm missing the slide. What pray tell? Oh. So again, I'll read it again. Deuteronomy 22:5 says, the woman shall not wear that which pertains to a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's loose or an abomination unto the Most High power. Now, look up the word abomination so you can understand what is being said in that space. Yeah? But we're going to go now to Julia White. Let me.
I remember when I did Murder Oracle for the first time.
Can this be heard?
And I just
Wait. Hold on.
remember, again, I get a lot of my enthusiasm from other people's satisfaction. Everybody on the was just amazed. Did run into an issue. Joe Marie and Reggie at that time were very sensitive to putting black men in dresses. And they heaped that on me. And they let me know I was not doing our race a service by putting on that yellow dress. But everybody has a default. Do you humble? Do you wilt under pressure? Do you rise? Do you surprise yourself? My default tends to be to take it up a notch. I mean, that evening I felt like a girl. I felt like a girl playing Murder Alert. But I cried like a baby at the end of that tape. I just broke. And I just cried, cried, cried. And this is what's awesome where you have a great father, you have a good family. And my dad just rose up like a lion and was like, I've watched my son deal with this all week to pull out this performance. And he will never play this character again. You got it once, it's done.
I wanted to stop at the part where he said he felt like a girl. He said he put on the yellow dress and he felt like a girl. That goes back to what we are speaking about with the physical putting on of female clothing contributes to a certain coming upon you. And I'll rewind it again. You know what I mean? Because it's worth hearing again. He said he felt. Where's my rewind button? What in the world is going on here? Hold on, if I can rewind it.
But he shouldn't have to carry the burden of some adults making a child feel bad for playing a girl just in fun.
So, what did you hear that? So, this is the confusion now. We have an appeal to emotion. Let's listen to what just happened. Um, the two characters, I believe it was the mother and father who were on the show, were saying, listen, this is inappropriate. You don't have to put on a dress. That someone somewhere, maybe the producers, encouraged him to put this frock or this frock on, this yellow frock. Remember that back in the day. Because I was, even young, I'm like, why is he doing this, right? So they encouraged him to put this yellow frock on. And those people on the show who opposed it now becomes demonized because he's actually putting this frock on. He's embodying this female spirit, and then he's a male. So this is cross ming of these two energies in a way in which it is not healthy. And he's conflicted because they are confronting him with the reality of, listen, this is not helpful. And so now he's conflicted. And because he is crying, because he said he wants to make other people feel joy. So who is deriving joy from you pretending to be a woman when you're clearly a man? That's the questions we must ask. But anywho, his father now is upset that he's being checked by other adults, and the father's saying he's never going to play the character again. We know he actually does play the character again, and he continues to play the character. But when he puts on this dress, he becomes or he behaves in a manner, he takes on the characteristics of the female gender. Yeah. So we're seeing how it's all connecting. Let's continue. I don't know where my little backwards button is, so I'm just gonna go forward.
I remember when I did
Like,
Murder Oracle for
oh,
the
there.
first time. And I just remember, again, I get a lot of my enthusiasm from other people's satisfaction.
And wait a minute. He said he get a lot in for other people's satisfaction. I just remembered they made the young man, whoever's writing this, dress up as a girl and hit on another boy, which would be Eddie Winslow. So how inappropriate, what type of subliminal programming? How inappropriate is this? Right? This is the 90s that they're forwarding this as a show and encouraging this type of behavior.
Everybody on set that week was just amazed. I didn't run into
What were they amazed for? What were they amazed behind? It had been done how many times? It was nothing new. What was amazing about a male pretending to be a male?
an issue. Joe Marie and Reggie at that time were very sensitive to putting black men in dresses. And they heaped that on me. And they let me know that I was not doing our race a service by putting on that yellow dress.
And they were right, buddy. But let's hear what to say. What did the yellow dress make you feel like? Tell us again, one more time.
But everybody has a default. Do you crumble? Do you wilt under pressure? Do you rise? Do you surprise yourself? My default tends to be to take it up a notch. I mean, that evening I felt like a girl. I felt like a girl playing Murder Alert.
He like a girl. That means emotionally, on an emotional level, he felt like a girl. Hmm, fascinating. On an emotional level, he felt like a lady. He did the Martin Lawrence song, I'm a lady. Y'all like my little, I'm a lady. He felt so he physically put on the dress. The spirit emotionally came upon him, and then the spiritually came upon him, and then emotionally and hormonally, I guess, he felt like a girl. But we're gonna continue. Let me come see what's going on. I'm trying not to get to the I'm going through this because sometimes I've been noticing it's throwing I and I off track. So let's screen once again. We get to the back of this and then conversation. So this part, it's not about feelings at this point. I know some people may think so, but if we lines are being blurred in today's, I shared a video about transgender here in Florida. Transgender, listen to this, 13-year-old boy who prefers to be a her is suing with some organization, Ron DeSantis is the governor, for putting in action a law that says, hey, if you were born a boy, you cannot participate in girls' sports. But the contention is if the person wakes up one day and feels emotions and feelings like a girl, then they should be accepted as such. Huh? Huh? This is where when we don't define lines and when we leave things very abstract and open to interpretation. So Genesis 1 and 27 says, so the Creator created man in his own image, in the image God created he him. Male and female created he them. I saw a video of a guy walking around. Oh, no, actually, wait. I didn't realize, right? So I'm watching this video for like doing a little research, and I'm watching this video for like a few minutes. No, a while. And I didn't realize that the person I was looking at was actually a boy until he goes around asking, her goes around asking all of these people how many gender there are, and they were coming up with all of these crazy answers. And then he reveals that he, who looks clearly like a she, is a he. I'm like, yo, what is going on? So one of the issues is that people are unwilling to be honest about the fact that male and female created he them because they want wiggle room to be able to redesign the human experience to their own particular liking, right? So here's another thing about the biological aspect. And the Creator blessed them, saying, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters and the seas, and let the fowl multiply in the air. So in Genesis 1 and 22, he's speaking to the animals. Because remember, male and female exist in creation, all over in creation, in the plant kingdom, insects, the creepy and the crawly, animals on the land, people. So in this particular space, he's talking to the animals. So you have to have a coming together of both male and females to reproduce. Reproduction is a command, right? To reproduce to the best of your ability. Now there are some people who are females and some who are male, but and they have all of the capacity. Because some people would be like, well, what if the person is barren? The definition talks about the capacity. That means they were designed. So just because it's not coming forth doesn't mean that it doesn't have the capacity to do so. What I find interesting in a lot of these modern day surgeries is that the first that happens to the woman, in many cases, the first thing they advise is taking her womb away. Partial hysterectomy, full hysterectomies. The first thing that they're advised, oh, you're having an issue? Let me take away that which makes you biologically female. That is fascinating. We can look at the hysterectomies and, of course, what demographic of people has more hysterectomies than other people. That's also fascinating. Okay, we went over this. And again, the hysterectomy is removing all of that which makes you biologically with the capacity, with the definition to bear seed and fruit. Sometimes they take out the whole womb, kind of make you a little to biologically androgynous to a certain degree. No, not because you still have your breasts, but you get the point. Okay, we read that part. Did I go? Okay, I want to talk about mental and emotional, like the characteristics oftentimes that people say, oh, you're a beta male, because I promised to talk a little bit about beta males. Oh, you're a beta male because you're not an alpha male, and this and that. Um, I've had conversations in the past, and then this one came up to my thought process, Deuteronomy 28:5. So that man that is tender among you and very delicate. Is this talking about a beta male? Like within the Bible, there was an understanding that everybody wasn't David running around beating his chest. You have different type of men. You have the man who dwells in tents and the man who roams around. You have different men with different temperaments. That doesn't mean that they're not a man. They're just not the that type of man. In the same way that Deborah was talking about Esau and Jacob, these were two different type of men. Jacob dwelled in tents, Esau will, right? So tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil towards his brother and towards the wife of his bosom, and to the remnant of his children, which he shall leave. This is Deuteronomy 28. And if you're familiar, it's talking about the curses. But my point for bringing this out is that there was an understanding that there was a man who wasn't as aggressive. And some would say he's in his feminine energy. Even in biblical time, yes, even in biblical time, they were aware that there were different type men with different levels, for lack of a better word, masculinity, right? And we read this the other day when we were the article, and it was taught, and I put a copy and paste so I don't have to jump backwards back to mental and emotional. So there's a tender man, same word. There's a tender and delicate woman among you. That's the extra feminine female, which would not adventure to set her soul a foot upon the ground for delicateness. Oh no, I can't do this. I can't do that. I'm so tender, right? Her eyes shall be evil towards her husband of her bosom and towards her son, daughter. Again, this is talking about the curses. In the beginning portion, it's showing you that they're different types of people. Just because they have more of a certain type of doesn't mean they're no longer female or male. They're just operating for whatever reason, positive or negative, too much towards one side, right? Because the overly tender and delicate woman, that was the slave masters. You know what? A lot of times, a lot of the people, when they were going down trying to populate the North, in the South, they wouldn't at first go with the women, the mistress of the house, because and even in the Caribbean, because it was conditions, because it was hot, because she would often be sickly and she couldn't manage certain things. So she was, I'm always in bed. I always have a headache. I can't move around. I don't know what to do when you're not around type of woman, right? So there is an unhealthiness in too tender and too delicate and not being able to do anything for yourself, as well as there's an unhealthiness in the woman, in this case being overly masculine, and there's not enough space for her feminine nature to come forward. And again, I took this from the article. You can see we went over the article partway, which is the four types of people that the article asserting: the feminine strength female, the feminine strength male, right? And the masculine strength female and the masculine strength male. I should have brought some. Now I'm thirsty. 1 second, please. One moment. Let me drink a little mine. We're back to this again. I just bought a new water, but I don't think I'm filling it all the way. Nope, I don't think I'm feeling it all the way. It tastes a little interesting. Anywho, so I went back again because the first time I brought this up, there were some people who didn't feel it and they couldn't see it. So now, in the light of those definitions, looking at the biology, um, looking at the characteristics of the male and the female, um, or the masculine and the feminine, hopefully when we look back at this chart again, we may see some of the way there are some factual observances made here. And like I was saying before, that this is not just relationships of male and female humans, this is relationship of nature to itself, right? This is how nature is relating both these energies to create this balance that we're talking about. Oftentimes, if just in this tunnel vision and we're only thinking about man and woman, we kind of constrict our vision and we rob ourselves of the opportunity to actually connect with the information. Let me see if I have any more. Yep, that was it. That was the, let me stop my sharing here. That was what I wanted to go back over and take a look at. What's beyond fascinating? Let me go back to some of this stuff. She does not set her foot down. That is the definition of Indonesian princess. The soles of her feet are tender since the feet that never touch the ground or work the soil. Yeah. So that is, let me know your thoughts on that. I went back to define things so that hopefully we can differentiate. Nigel, not having the opportunity to smoke. Yeah, I put up a video gonna go live in a little bit at 3 o'clock. Sakari Richardson and that whole conversation. I guess I shared a little bit here. There's a lot of people because of her training, because of how a lot of people talking ill of her. But in this particular situation, I listened to the interview that she shared candidly about why she came up negative, I mean positive on her drug test. And essentially she was saying that her mother, she learned that her biological mother passed and she learned it and she had not known that news. And she resulted to looking for a way in which to uh, hurt herself or soothe her pain or escape from the reality about soul therapy and soul anonymous. And people think it's, oh, what is she talking about? What she's saying is she didn't have the mechanisms, the coping to deal with the news. So she wanted to escape. And that's what we do. We self medicate, whether it be alcohol, whether it be smoking, whether it be gambling, whether it be sex addiction, medicate because the soul is in so much pain, it does not know what to do. And in her situation, she knew that she had to, she knew that all eyes were on her. And so she was on in a spliff. Or I don't know if she burnt the spliff. I don't know how she consumed the ganja, but what does that do? It kind of out a little bit, kind of disconnects you from a level of reality so that you can cope with that pain and that feeling. And then imagine when she comes back, she still perform. When she ran that race, the qualifying, she's proving, and everybody's clapping, not knowing how much pain she's in. Um, I find it interesting. The, she when what if you miss the Olympics? She said, you know what? If I miss it, I'm young and I could come back, but I have healing to do. And for a 20-year-old to be that aware that there's Olympics, there's more to life than winning a competition. Like you can't replace your mother. Um, you can't go back and say what you needed to say or fix anything that you needed to fix because that time has passed. For her to be so present in the moment, you know what I mean? I gotta give Shorty 21 years old, and she's very much aware that hey, yeah, I did this, I own that, and there's more to life than this, though. Wow. And a lot of people, I think that's going to go over a lot of people's head because all we're talking, well, a lot of times entertainers, we're looking at how they make us feel. And these entertainers could be dying inside, and many times they are. They can be on drugs, they can not sleep at night, but they make us feel good because we're really selfish in the way in which we look to be entertained. We think that because we're there, our energy, which is our attention, they owe us everything at the expense of themselves. So a lot of these people sacrifice themselves. This is why you see them ending up in all of the circumstances and situations that hopefully they can get the applause, that hopefully they can get the approval of these faceless, nameless people who you don't know. And if you needed a slice of bread, they wouldn't come give it to you. When researching people like Michael Jackson and Whitney Houston, a lot of times the people are crying and they're carrying on. Really, the person that you really care about, or it's just how that person makes you feel. Yeah. So for her to be aware that, yeah, you would like for me to see me do Y and Z, but right now I need to take care of me. That's deep because there's a lot of adults who don't know that yet. There's a lot of adults who haven't come to that realization. Um, Let me see. Deborah says, I get why you are meticulously and putting the definitions out there as points of reference. Yeah, I need to because if every time people go, just like one person is like not defining, and the people are arguing in the comment section and they're going back and forth. I'm like, bro. And then you come back tomorrow, conversation. It's like, what are you doing to clear up this mess? What are you doing to move forward? Hysterectomy creepy. I mean, if we look up the statistics for hysterectomy, they're more than creepy. There's something underhanded going on for the sake of entertainment. And I'm speaking about what makes us innately female according to the definition. Let's look up. Let's look up hysterectomies. I'll do it live. Let's look up the statistics, the statistics on hysterectomies. Hold on. You know about you guys, but I put weird stuff in Google and it be coming up anyway. But let me see. What should I type in Google, y'all? What should I type? If you have any questions or comments about um, the presentation, I know it was short and it was remedial, but I think it's needed. So when we go forward, building over the same rock. Oh, what should I put? Statistics on hysterectomies. What should I put? Statistics on hysterectomies in the U.S. How about that? Boom. It's one of the most commonly performed surgeries in women. Estimates suggest that 1 in 9, yo, do you hear those stats? 1 in 9 women go hysterectomy during their lifetime, and that approximately 600,000 procedures are performed each year in the United States. Now, what were you doing, doctors, before? And this is medical papers right here. Let me just go because I sometimes medical papers. You nationwide trends in the performance of hysterectomy in the United States. These MDs. Um, what is going on? This is U.S. National Library of Medicine, National Institute of Health. This objective, the abstract of the paper, is to examine the use of inpatient hysterectomy and explore changes in the use of various routes of hysterectomy and pattern of referral. My question is, what's going on? Whose thought and idea was it that the first thing or the second thing that's wrong with the womb is to rip it out? What were they doing in antiquity before they started stealing wombs? Hmm? Okay, the methods. The nationwide inpatient sample was used to identify all women age 18 or older who underwent inpatient hysterectomy between 1998 and 2010. And listen, I know people personally that haven't even had a child in their 30s and 40s who they're advising, you know what? Oh, this is happening. You should get a hysterectomy. The person didn't have a child yet. I dare say there may be some to be taking wombs away. After waiting, we identified a total of 738,452 women who underwent inpatient hysterectomy between 1998 and 2010. 12 years, 7.4 million. The number of hysterectomies performed annually rose from 543,812 in 1998 to a peak of 681,234 in 2000. This is very fascinating stuff. What was going on? What is going on? What was schools that told them that, what? This is a good idea. I'm going to drop the link to this paper if you want to take a look at it. It was at its height in 2002, almost 700,000. Look at this. Look at this. Younger than, where are we here? Graphics. Younger than 40 years old, they took 237,000 wombs. Vaginal, laparoscopic, robotic, they're telling you what kind. They have over 480,000 women, white women, here, 127,000 black women. But you also have to look at this as it relates to the population of women in the US. So this will may look like a smaller amount, but you have to look at the population. This is crazy. This is crazy. There's a lot of European women with their wombs being taken out, and a lot of melanated women with their wombs taken out. Very, very fascinating stuff. Look at the English. This paper goes in. So if you're interested in this stuff, if you're interested in getting the stats, this is where it's at. Where was the part that was highlighted? Where's the part that was highlighted? Did I miss that part? Let me get this and put this in the link chat box so that we can see that definitely there's something going on. Something going on. And go ahead and put that link in the box if you want to do that research. So let's hear. Someone to say womb stealing. Oh yeah, womb stealing all day. Um, all day. And there's something else going on that we need to maybe take. And like I said, I've heard people say they suggested this off the bat, unwarranted, unprovoked. You should, consider ripping your womb out. um, you're absolutely right with creepy. I must be a certain evil philosophy. Yeah, there's something definitely associated with it, behind it, onto the destruction, not just concerning the female, but about our ability to reproduce, multiply. Yeah, there's something is going on. Because, I mean, what did you do in antiquity before you could just go around cutting out wounds? Nyasha said the female body is not proper studied. Um, our medical system is designed for the white man. And that's very, very interesting. Hysteria is derived from the word womb, I think. Yeah, yeah, I think I heard that before. In other words, anything pertaining to hysteria and emotions in female reproductive. I heard that before. Maybe we can do that. Would be a good study. We could look at that. The connections. I know I did a little information a few years ago, and we'll come back to the quote unquote father of gynecology here and how he was practicing on enslaved bodies and what he was doing, and that whole thing was real suspect. There's the woman language is called the Matrix. Very fascinating. Very, very fascinating. So I say all that I had to say that there's a connection between all of this. There's a connection between blurring the lines, not making it defined, making people get into the part where they can feel like something. Like in that Jaleel White clip, he put on the dress, he felt like a woman, he was a woman. I wanted to talk about the person who was, let me see if I can get that. The person who wanted to play in the Olympics. And before he was performing a man up until 2013, and then he popped up and said, "Oh, no, this guy right here. I'm not a woman anymore. I'm not a man anymore." And now he's leading all the other women in the Olympics. This person right here, and they're like, "Yo, this is unjust. What's going on?" And the people, orders, the people who oppose the thought are over here talking about what's the matter. What do you mean not fair? I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, what's going on here? This is the person who is a man, by an XY chromosome, presenting as a woman, beating other women in sports, and feeling as though they're right and exact in what it is they're doing. Let me not mislead you. So let me get the person's name. The person's name is. Hold on. People saw this story. Once. Laurel Hubbard. Right, there's one last article, and then about why this is important, right? Laurel Hubbard. Let's catch this. Wait. Let's catch this article. So I wanted to do it the other day and I didn't come around to do it. And people say, well, people could do it, but they don't realize that once you begin to change things and move things around, it goes into other areas of your life. New Zealand weightlifter will be the first openly trans competitor at the Olympics. This is a man who was not winning in his weightlifting. So he switched over to a quote unquote woman, and now he's winning against, like, this is the twilight. New Zealand has named Laurel Hubbard to its women's weightlifting roster for upcoming Olympics in Tokyo, making her the first openly trans athlete to compete in the games. Wordplay. Hubbard, 43, people are contending that 43, you don't even go to the Olympics. You're pretty much done. So how is it that you're in the Olympics at 43 years old? Will compete in the category for women over 87 kilos, about 192 pounds. Listen to the person now. I'm going to call it the person. I am grateful and humbled by the kindness and support that has been given to me by so many New Zealanders, Hubbard said in a statement on Monday. When I broke my arm in the Commonwealth Games 3 years ago, I was advised that my sporting career had likely reached support. Your encouragement and your love carried me through the darkness. Are we serious? But her selection is not without controversy. You think? Some argue that because Hubbard went through male puberty, would they stop with the pronouns? Hubbard will have an unfair advantage over his competitors. Some argue, common sense argues. And now they go into saying how Hubbard has met the International Olympic Committee requirements for athletes who transition from male to female. We just read that that's impossible because a female has the capacity to bear eggs, have eggs, or bear seed. Therefore, it's impossible to go from male and female. No matter if you try to remove the organs, reconstruct the organs, and you can recreate the form and the function, it is impossible. But here they are telling us that it is. The requirements stipulate that the athlete must declare that his identity is female and cannot change the status for sports purposes for at least 4 years. Are we kidding me? The athlete's testosterone level must stay below 10 nanomoles per liter. So here we are with humanity. They can do whatever they want because they're the ones, it's their games, which there's another whole conversation about how the Olympics started and how, according to some narratives, they were in gymnasiums naked. I don't know, right? It's questionable about the Olympic Games myself. But so they could change the game over there, but they cannot change what is according to the creator, male and female, which they are trying to do. If your testosterone drops and you identify, you say so, then it's so, right? You could read this article. They're stressing me right here. I had to do a lot of. I'm just put the link in the box. Yeah, I could read this article to see why, for us and for our children to come, it's important to have these conversations because if we don't, that there's only going to be one voice speaking, and we drown out the other voices that are speaking. Then now you're in an echo chamber. So basically, the guy couldn't stand losing as a man in his field, so he decided to cheat and declare he's a woman. This is he said, you know what, he's a woman, and here he is beating all the women. It's like it's like you going back to school or junior high school and declaring that I feel like a seventh grader, and then you beat all the seventh graders, you get all the awards. You know what I mean? It's like, how do you look? How do you look? How do you look? How do you look? Wait, was I showing you guys the screen or no? Wait a minute, I think I was showing you guys the screen. My bad. I don't think you guys saw the screen. Let me show you what the article looked like. You can go ahead and check it out yourself. Okay, no, don't do that. Anywho, I'm not going to go any much longer. Let's take the screen. Yeah, there goes the screen. My bad. So this was the screen. This is the article link here. You can check it out. You can read it and see why this conversation is ongoing. You have it with the young women in high school. They're boys wearing that they're girls. They're winning all of the track meets. They're taking the positions, the scholarships, the ability from the young women who would be school because the transgenders are like coming in first and second because they're actually boys. And so there's a lot of students being affected, and that's the reason why DeSantos signed what he signed, because they realized that the unfair advantage once again is given to the male for him to declare who and what he is because he says so, and then now even in her own sport, he's declaring himself the winner. Let me know your thoughts. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. This has been an interesting discussion. Um, yeah, any questions or comments before we go? You're thinking about questions or comments. Let me play a little commercial. Wait, first, let me play a little commercial, and then we'll be right back.
This episode is sponsored by Yummy Curry Powder. Go on over to www.theyummycottage.com for your powder today.
Oh, let me open the phone lines. Hold on. I'm going to open the phone lines for a hot, quick second. A hot, quick second. Oh, I have to let everyone know. When you call in, again, please be respectful. If the mics are open on more than one person, please allow the other person to speak. Please do not interrupt one another. And so that we can have a respectful discussion in which we can hear when everyone is speaking. So I wanted to say that again. If you don't, then I have to mute your mic. You give me no choice. So please be respectful. I'm going to put this in here for 2 seconds. I'm going to play that little Myrtle Urkel clip again because that was fascinating. Yes, Deborah's asking, she's wondering if I'm suggesting that putting on female clothes puts a spirit of femininity on a male. Yes, that is exactly what I'm suggesting. That's what I'm stating, based on what it is that I shared with the Jaleel White clip, based on what the Torah shares. The Torah gives you physically not to do it. The Bible in Deuteronomy tells you physically not to do it. We are hearing a male who has done it, and I'll play the clip again. This is him. He spoke about the first time he put on the dress and how he felt like a woman. He felt like a girl. Oftentimes, you'll have someone who has characteristics, but when they cross over into actually putting on the dress, putting on the makeup, putting on the hair, they embody this type of feminine spirit, right? And the Torah warns against it, and we see it manifest. So with that said, I see Deborah and Queen and Zinga. Like I said before, everybody, as we're having this discussion, would be respectful to the other one while they're speaking, and everything shall be everything. All right, you're on the panel. Welcome to the conversation.
Good afternoon.
Good
Good
afternoon.
afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good
Good
afternoon.
afternoon. Yeah.
Uh,
So good afternoon, everybody. So yeah, Deborah. What to what you were saying? Did you hear my thoughts on the matter?
yes, I just slipped into the kitchen, washed my mouth because I was eating something. Anyhow, what I wanted to specify my question, if you don't mind, Queen, when you said uh, when a man puts on female clothes and he starts to emulate characteristics of female uses of tone, a voice, movements, and things like that, you basically indicated there's a spirit, a feminine or effeminate spirit coming on this male person. Where does the spirit come from? Like, literally, where does the spirit come from? Are you talking
I
about
mean
a
that
literal
part.
spirit, or is it transformation of within the brains? of the man? Is it something you can actually measure through whatever equipment
Well,
in neurobiology? Because I know
I mean that
when
part
they
I don't.
put, sorry, go on.
Go ahead. No, I was saying to your question. You said where the spirit come from. That may be another conversation. Um, I was just
Okay.
speaking to what observe when men put on women's clothing, they behave, and this isn't new. How there is an energy, a spirit, a shift in his demeanor and his mannerisms to us that there's something beyond the physical that's happening, um, that we're observing.
Okay. Okay. And I was wondering, is it the
Are you in
same?
disagreement? Do you think that? Mhm.
No, no, no. I'm not in disagreement. I just wanted to hear your thoughts on it. What I was trying to figure out. Normally, I'm not that practical, but in this case,
Mm.
I'm very curious. I was wondering if you could actually measure it
No, I like,
with
it's good. I mean, there's
MRI
many
scan.
people who try to measure. I mean, the measurement, I don't know.
Well,
If
the
people going
reason
around like, oh, let me put a spirit on you, I'm not sure.
sticking some electrodes on your frontal cortex and your back and whatever on the head. Well, the thing is, the reason why I'm asking that, because it kind of, yeah, well, a couple of years ago I read this book, and it was written by a couple of neuroscientists, and they were measuring the
Hmm.
brain wave activities in meditating monks. And what they noticed is that during meditation, of course, the heartbeat lowers and whatever it drops basically. And they noticed that the activity of the brain shifted from the frontal cortex to
Hmm.
another part of the brain. I can't remember which part, but it shifted. Basically, the blood flow from the frontal cortex was reduced to another part of the brain. And I think they call it the parasympathetic, I don't know how to pronounce that in English, the automated nervous system that controls your heartbeat. And that was influenced by meditation. That's why I was wondering if that is even measurable. It would be interesting, and maybe people already done that. I don't know. And the other question was for me, or to you by me: does the same happen when a female puts on male clothes?
Mm.
Because I noticed the emphasis is very
I
much
think
on the male.
absolutely. I think absolutely. I came across a video yesterday where you know how the young ones today they're doing all these kind of pranks. So she I don't know her before time, but apparently the prank was she's a tomboy, a very male, and she had on a dress and high heels, and her friends and her family were like taken aback, right? Like, this is
Mhm.
not you. Oh my goodness, believe it, and and even in her movement, one of the guys was so freaked out. He's like, wow, this is uncharacteristically too womanly of you. I would definitely say that also does come on the women as well, that move, that wear their pants below their clothing and move around and put on wife beaters and carry on as though they're a male. Then there's a spirit also that comes upon them, that reinforces this thought process, because also we have to consider, to your question about is something that you can measure. If you We know that thoughts energy affects our behavior, right? And so if you
Mhm.
to put on something, you had to first think it. And so I think within the thinking, as you're saying, toward measuring what changes in the brain, to how we're thinking and how we put on certain clothes and certain mentality, it does shift us, spiritually in a space. What's my motivation? Like an actor, when you put them in costume, they become that thing, right? And they become so convincing in the role because they have put on the thoughts, the energy, the behavior, the costume of that character, and then they become that character, if you can
I
understand what I'm
read
saying. So
that.
in that way, I think it
Yes.
does cause a shift.
Actually, I read and I heard in interviews that certain well-known characters, actors, famous actors, they say they would actually how do you say? Put the skin of that person they are supposed to represent in the script for a movie on top of them. They would change into that character. And some, after shooting the movie, even have difficulties in reverting back to their real self. And
Yes.
when this person mentioned put on the skin of that character they're supposed to play, that freaked me out, because some tribal cultures, they skin people and they put the skin of that person on top of their body, and in some
Mm,
kind of trance state, like a medicine doctor, whatever you call it, will catch that spirit of that person. So I thought, whoa,
mm-hmm.
when that actress said that, that made
And,
my
and to
hairs.
and to your point, and then we're gonna come to Queen Zimba. We're gonna come to Queen Zimba. To your point, I did see an interview similar to that when they were talking about Denzel Washington and his
Mhm,
performance in
mhm,
Malcolm X.
mhm.
And was that he embodied that character so when they yelled cut, he couldn't stop, right? He um he couldn't stop. They also, I think it was a movie, when they yelled cut, he was performing speeches that wasn't part of the movie, right?
Whoa,
Because
speaking in
he
tongues.
embodied the other actor who spoke to that was Dandridge, Halle Berry, when she played Dorothy Dandridge. She shared that many weird things when they became that character, when they embodied that. There are many weird things that happened. One of which, they gave her a dress that was actually Dorothy Dandridge's dress, and she thought haunted because all type of weird things happened in her home when the dress was present. Eventually she had to get rid of it. So to your thoughts, if we look, the closest thing we have is actors. They go through to embody a role and how they become so convincing in this role. Men playing women, women playing men, and the like. Well, thank you so much for that. We're gonna come back to you. Queen Zinga, the mic is yours.
Yeah, this is very fascinating because I work with actors and musicians all my life, um, and have seen transformations. Uh, once the performance begins, for any of these players, and I think what happens a lot of times is, to Deborah's point, is they're putting on a shell, an outer shell, to be this person. And so I think, going back to the original study that you brought out, um, about this masculine and feminine energy and principle, you know, for eternity, we've had eunuchs. Eunuchs were talked about in the Bible. And these were persons, uh, who were removed of their male genitalia in particular, because they don't talk about female eunuchs, but they always talk about the male eunuchs, and the male eunuchs had their genitalia removed, um, perhaps so that they could remain in the realm of the kingdom which they were put into, to teach the women how to be women, or the kind of women that the royals would like to have as their wives. um, this is a very dangerous space to be in, to watch people take off and put on these energies. And I do think it's transmutable. I 100% agree. But I do want to talk about the hysterectomies. And I love the fact that because we do, I think everyone needs a course in, anatomy 101, because we're getting all of this confused. This generation is very confused about all of this, it seems. And that's why there's always this talk about masculine and feminine. When I was growing up, this was never even a topic. um to say a woman is masculine or to say a man is feminine. Like that was not, these terminologies for who we are. He, she, her, him, all these different titles. All of this is very new. Now, to say that there weren't people who embodied these qualities when I was growing up, sure there were, but we didn't have all these titles and labels for everything. But going back to the hysterectomies, um, basically it's womb stealing. The scientists have been doing a lot of testing on people's bodies. You know, people who have been kidnapped, and never found. You know, I'm sure they've been organ harvesting so that they can do all these tests, so that eventually, when they plan to move us into a society that is contactless. That's what I believe is going to happen in the future. People are not going to be touching each other anymore. Look, basically everybody's texting now. Everybody's in their homes. You've got virtual reality, almost everything. I've heard that there's lenses that you can put on to have simulated sex in these virtual rooms. So I believe that they're trying to push people into a contactless, human contactless society. I could be wrong.
This reminds me of science fictions,
Well,
several science
I
fictions
mean, look. I mean, look.
I would
Look
used to
back.
watch.
Look at back in the '60s. I used to watch a TV program called Star Trek, the original Star Trek.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and in the '30s, there was a cartoon called Dick Tracy, and Dick
Yes.
Tracy used to speak into his watch, which was a phone.
Mm-hmm.
So, what we call science fiction is their science projection, and we really need
Yeah.
to pay attention to what's being
See,
put out in these movies and films. The movie The Matrix, which was written by a black woman,
Mm-hmm.
she said in all of her interviews that the government was watching her and came to her door at one point because her original um source work for The Matrix and for Terminator was all scientific based. She's a
Mm-hmm.
scientific mind and a legal mind. And she patented some of the ideas that she had in the book. And the government wanted to take it. They wanted to purchase it from her for future reference. And so, what she was saying in one of her interviews is that in the future, what they're looking to do is no longer have prisons, physical prisons, because physical prisons take up space. There's not enough room anymore for all these people who are committing crimes. And so, what would be happening in the future is that people would have a chip inside of them. This is where that whole chip thing comes from. People would have a chip inside of them, and that through that chip, if they commit a crime, then a wall is created around them from the inside of the chip. And
Mm-hmm.
that would be their virtual prison. Mm.
It's it's interesting because the aspects you mentioned are all in alignment with, indeed, starting with the original series of Star Trek and a whole avalanche of science fiction series, which prove today is were predictive. It
Yeah,
has now come to reality. It is now
absolutely.
implemented, applied, but it has been done in a way so stealthily
Well,
that
yes, and that's why when we talk about the hysterectomies and the womb stealing and all of these
Mhm,
other things, they stole Henrietta Lacks's stem cells so that
mhm,
they could perform all of the things that they're doing now scientifically and even going out of the Earth's atmosphere. So,
Mhm.
there's a lot of sinister splicing going on,
Yeah.
cross gendering.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know what the purpose is for, but this is part of, clearly part of their new world order agenda. We don't know fully what that is, but we've heard politicians talk about it, former presidents talk about it, new world orders. So there are probably several different plans that are laid out for that, and I think
Mhm.
gender is part of that. um to that person that was in the weightlifting, basically
Mhm.
that individual was cheating.
Yeah, a fraud.
That's cheating. I mean, if
Yeah.
I could see if that's how you felt and that's how you grew up and you felt that you were a woman all along, but you only did it because you lost several times as a man, so now you're going to win in the female division, having those male chromosomes and still having that testosterone,
Mhm.
which makes the definition between male and female. Testosterone belongs to
Mhm. The
men,
level.
and
Yeah.
estrogen belongs to women. Y chromosomes belong to women, and X belong to men. So no matter what you do on the external, you still have that internal genetics that will never change.
If that is the
And
case,
what's
if the
very
And
fascinating,
internal,
thank you for that, Queen Nzinga. Hold on, Deborah, 1 second.
yeah,
Deborah, 1 second, because
yeah,
Nasha's on here, and then I'm going to wind down because I got to make some food for the Shabbat. But to the
you
point
too.
that you made for it being in the programming in science fiction, absolutely. What came to my mind is the picture I put up, which was this was I think it was Demolition Man, back in the 80s, where that
Yeah.
contactless society, and I'm sure it was in many other movies, but it was this whole virtual reality. The people who refused to accept the new norm, they were pushed underground, and those who were willing to comply, and pretend what is isn't and what isn't is, they were the ones who were allowed to live. So I want to say absolutely that a lot of stuff is going on, and just some things may seem, elementary, but in this day and age, absolutely not. There's a lot of confusion I came across, and I'm gonna come to Nasha. I'm gonna bring it up at another time. That at a university, they're teaching the young incoming students, and I'm sure they're doing it at lower levels, about all of these different visions. They have little caricature, they have, LGBT, everything, and they're
Yeah.
like indoctrinating to a certain degree
Mhm.
the upcoming children. And I was like, what is this? You know what I mean? But for the sake of time,
Yeah.
I'm gonna let Nyasha share her thoughts, and then we're gonna wind down. If anybody has anything else to say, feel free to do so at this time.
I just wanted.
Go ahead, Nasha.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to
Yes,
say
ma'am, we
that
could hear you.
could penis envy also play a role? There is a sickness that that a lot of women suffer. It's called penis envy. It is this wish to have really. It is this wish to have a
I didn't hear
penis
that one. The
because
phone broke up a little bit. Come again?
it wish to have a penis because of the sexism and patriarchy a lot of women have experienced this hate of their own body and their own biology. So they envy to have a penis or to be a man, thinking that life could be better.
Yes, some do.
That's
So it's called
Freudian.
the
Some do.
That's a
yes, it's
Freudian
called
expression.
exactly Freudian exactly. Could that maybe be could that also play a role in what we're experiencing here? That's all I wanted to say.
I mean, it can play a role again. It's like all that's in the climate, all that's in the atmosphere, all that's in the food, all that's in the entertainment. And but I think it's at this point it's both ways. There's men who think that women's life are easier, and so they want to become, so to say, more womanly. a woman like, and then there are women who think that men's lives are easier, and they try to become that other gender, which is just, it's just showing you where we are today. Um, wow, the storm is about to set up, so you already know the internet is going to get real shaky.
Yeah, it's
The
choppy.
storm is setting up. I wonder if yeah, it's choppy. The storm is setting up over here, and we have a little bit
Uh-oh.
of a tropical storm heading our way. So all of that,
From
yeah, yeah.
Barbados.
But this
That was
happens every year,
Elsa.
so it's yes, it's over Barbados right
Oh,
now.
yeah,
Exactly, it's
yeah,
over Barbados
terrible.
right now,
Yeah, I had some
and
contact.
it's coming
Oh,
this way.
wow. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So with that, but thank everybody for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the stream, and the conversation that we had here today. Those definitions hope it will help in the conversations going forward. I just wanted to share this one thing. I almost forgot, and then I'm gonna go. Oh, where did it go again? Hold on. It's this quote here. Hold on. Where did the quote go? And if a man don't like me for me, he can just step off. And this is some of the stuff that Martin's Shanae character used to say on the show. Which, if I go back and listen to some of these things, we can see
Mm-hmm.
some of this behavior that we're seeing in this generation
Mm-hmm.
then. But that's for another time. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. If you did miss the Wendy Williams conversation I just had on the channel, feel free to check that out, as well as anything else that you would like to comment. And if you have a suggestion for a show, I have some suggestions. It takes me a little bit of time to do my study, so my apologies if I'm taking kind of long, because I like to add value whenever I can. Um,
Yeah.
we'll do it again. All right.